All right, hi everybody. It's Bonkai922. Uh, another Seven Deadly Sins chapter. Not so new Taizai chapter. Um, Chapter 52. Truth behind truth of the rumor. Um, Interesting page. We got Diane, and she's got a shirt on with Bond on the shirt. It says Seven Deadly Sins, and he has his shirt on with meliodas on the shirt, and then he has a book bag kind of thing with King on the book bag, and King has a little knapsack with Hank on there, and it says Shonen Magazine. Just figured you'd know that. Chapter 52, Truth of the Rumor. Now, this chapter was pretty interesting for many facets, for many reasons, but the main reason of what it entailed at the end. Now, beginning part, unfortunately, Gira and Jericho are still alive. And we see Hellbrand there, and he's laying down with a book over his face. And this guy shows up and tells him, Lord Hellbrand, Master Hellbrand, my apologies, received a report about an armored giant sighted in Ordan Forest, east of Beisel. And I think Jericho says it saying, oh, is it another sin? Could be another seven deadly sin. And he's like, Hellbrand's just like, call the dawn roar. Don't let him escape again. Take him down no matter what. And this guy's saying, I hope they don't go too far. And we then that scene ends, and we go into Ordan, where we see, okay, there's these kids that are acting like they're the seven deadly sins, which I that was pretty funny. By the way, the rating for this chapter, I'm probably gonna give this a. This really didn't do anything in this chapter. All this chapter really did was basically illustrated this person at the end. That's what this chapter did. So going to give this a 4. You know, maybe a 4.5. You know, because the ending was pretty awesome. So anyway, we get these guys, and they're farming and everything, and they're eating. They're taking a lunch break, and they're saying, "Oh, it's peaceful here in Ordan." Thanks to the Lord Mountain God, and that's another thing that is brought up later on of what that's about. And all of a sudden, they get interrupted by these kids. He's like, "You two over there, you committed a great sin of eating lunch on the roadside." And it is like, "Please forgive us, our Lord, the seven deadly sins." Um, Very well, you are forgiven. And then we see these kids. It's like about what? 6? And this girl's holding this baby, so that's the 7th? I'm like, who are these kids? Obviously, they are pretending to be the seven deadly sins. The good thing about that setup is you find out a few things that we actually kind of knew about in the beginning of the series. The names of the seven deadly sins, or the names of their powers, and so on and so forth. And he's like, "Thank you very much, Master Pelio." And then he's like, "Wrong." He says, "It's Dragon Sin of Wrath Peliodas. Remember the Das. The Das." That was pretty funny. That's what happens there. And, it's small talk happening here. Really nothing happening. And we get to the old name names. Grizzly Sin of Sloth, Thomas. Fox Sin of Greed, Cats. Serpent Sin of Envy, Mira. Boar's Sin of Gluttony. So, gluttony is a boar. Pride, and then the guy says Pride's name is a lion. So, the other 3 sins that haven't joined the group are Boar of Gluttony, Lion of Pride, and Lust of Goat, which is sort of what this chapter's about. So everyone mentions their name. This guy Armando doesn't mention it. He's like, "Goat, sin of lust," and he's trying to be like, oh my god, this Armando guy. He's trying to be like, because it's lust. I'm like, what are you doing? That was too much. So he did that, and then Armando must be tough being his chief's family, accompanying that little boy, and so on and so forth. Yes, Master Pilio, remember the DOS, affect the DOS. So they're playing a game known as the Seven Deadly Sins. That's what these kids are doing. And he says, don't make fun of me, so on and so forth. And then they'll come across the pig hut. And he's like, who gave permission to put this hut here in my village? This kid is like, what are you doing? God damn, you can't be doing this shit. But anyway, he's saying this, and he's like, I, the captain of Seven Deadly Sins, Meliodas, won't forgive you. And right behind him is Meliodas, Bon, and King. I'm like, too much. That was too much. So yeah, and then they're behind him, and basically, and he's saying, "Oh, let's stop this movie. It's scolded, and you call yourself the son of pride. You're a wimp." And then that's when we see Malados is there and everyone, and they're saying, "Oh, it seems like." He's talking to King about this, saying that, "Oh, your information was obviously this." And he's like, "Well, it was a rumor that one of our members was here, but it was obviously a bad rumor because it was just these kids playing, pretend, being the Seven Deadly Sins." But truth be told, at the end of this chapter, it's not as what it seems. You'll soon find out. And then basically, Bond saying your intel is useless. And he's like, "Oh, you're the owners of the pig hut, and stuff, yeah, and so on and so forth." And then Meliodas is like, "Don't be so angry." He's like, "I'm the center rep. I'm allowed to be angry." It's going back and forth kind of thing. And the pride guy is saying, "Oh, we should pay them for the rent." The guy who's supposed to be sloth is, "I'm tired from walking. I want to eat and sleep." It's kind of funny when they're doing this because it's doing it in front of the actual, greed and sloth, King and Bond. It was kind of funny. Oh, and then next page, everyone's back, Captain. It's fucking Diane, and she's pouring out of the freaking place, and then of the house, and she is like, "It's a giant, we'll be eaten." And then she says, "I don't eat people." And I was like, that. I'm like, that's funny because you think about Attack on Titan, but hey, I digress. So she's saying she doesn't eat people, so on and so forth. I said I don't eat people, you know. And then that Armando guy's saying, apologizing, we don't mean you ill will to Bond, and Bond says it's okay, just stop pretending to be the Seven Deadly Sins because you don't want to get punished by the Holy Knights. And he says yes. And it was kind of funny. Diane's playing with them, and everything, sure to make friends quickly. And a few comments with Meliodas saying, is Meliodas the same age as that kid, and so on and so forth. And they bring up the Lord Mountain God, that Diane might be as big as the Mountain God, and he lives in the mountains, and so on and so forth. And they hear rumblings and such, and they're saying that it's a mountain god. And it was a funny joke here. Meliodas says, "Oh, it sounds like when Hank has diarrhea." That was I got a kick out of that. And then Bond mentions that there's a strong power coming from the mountains. And King's saying, "Oh, is it the roar and everything?" He says, no, neither. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, probably 6 clustered in there, and it's probably the Holy Knights. Most likely the Holy Knights. And then we get this guy coming in saying you can't go into the forest because the Holy Knights came from the kingdom to apprehend a huge manhunt in the mountains, so you can't go in there, of an incredibly evil criminal. And they're like whispering each other, Bond, Meliodas, and King, saying it might be him, it might be him. And that's when we see that everyone's left, and they're going to see the evil criminal and so on and so forth. And Bond says they'll leave them and be, meliodas. They're just kids. Holy Knights wouldn't do anything to them. And then apparently a knight, he's come back from the mountains. He's pretty petrified. He's petrified. He's bloodied and shit. What happened in the mountains? And is saying that the knight group was annihilated. Lord Dawn Roar's group is fighting back against the armored giant. That armor monster. There's no way you can beat him. No, stop, don't come, armored monster. Oh, he's dead. And pretty much that's the story. And Bond's like saying, what the hell is that? So he leaves meliodas and goes into the hut in front of all the wanted posters of, everyone. King, Bond, and everything. And we see the wanted posters, and one of them we see is Merlin. And you see another poster on the top of the list, on the left-hand corner, what seems to be Escanor. I can't really make out with the names, but that's what he's basically saying. And then Mel's basically saying, Bond King, we found him. Gasps, could it be? Yeah, it's definitely him. The goat's sin of lust, Galther. And it says the fifth great criminal is found. Hurry to Galther. And it says to be continued in chapter 53, armored giant versus Dawn Roar. And it says the fake 7 deadly sins and an armored monster. With the addition of the Holy Knights, Ordon becomes a hotbed for chaos. Now, by the look of him, Galther, we don't know what he looks like at all. It's a total mystery. Because I was on a live stream with Nostradamus, that squad thing, and I went back during the live stream to check the first chapter and take a look and see if you see his face. You don't. You don't see his face. You don't see any of his faces, any part of it at all. He's all in armor. We do not know what this guy looks like. Now, it could be true that he might be a woman, but chances are not. I don't see that. This is a total mystery. And when I first heard about this, read this chapter, and I read to the end, and I was reading, I was like, I was very concerned. I was like, okay, what's the story with this guy? Like, I really wanted to know personally. Like, what was the whole story with him? Because, when I hear lust, I think from an alchemist. But lust, essentially, if anyone wants to know, lust means you're lusting for something. It means you desire it with all your being. Now, that doesn't have to be like a sexual kind of thing. It could be knowledge. It could be power. It could be strength. It could be anything. You could be lusting for anything. Now, personally, I'm going with power and strength. I think that's what he lusts for. Or battle. Imagine if he was lusting for battle. Holy shit, would that be awesome. But overall, give this a 4.5 out of 5 just because of this kind of situation that's going on now. God knows what this guy looks like. God knows what's going to happen. Because, remember, they just came from fighting Hellbrand. Those are the guys. And stuff. So, to go up against this guy, yeah, it's going to be a total clusterfuck. Totally unbelievable. It's going to get really hot and heavy. So, yeah, but I definitely think this is a good thing now. We're going to get another sin involved. And, yeah, there's a Merlin. Now, this Merlin, and I should mention that there's a Merlin involved. There's a Merlin sin. One of the sins is named Merlin. And that's probably a whole different other thing going on with that. So, but until that, we'll see. I think Merlin is pride. I could be wrong, but I have a feeling Merlin's pride. I don't think Merlin is gluttony. But this should be interesting. Lust. Goat. Lust. So, we'll see next week how this goes. And they're going to go up. He's going up against Gowther is going up against the Dawn Roar. That's a group of holy knights in the kingdom that are supposed to be really powerful, supposedly, according to Hellbrand and the guy he was talking to at the beginning of the chapter. So we'll see how this goes, people. But yeah, another sin. This is gonna get interesting, big time next week. I want to see this guy fight. I want to see what he can do. Holy shit! If this guy is as powerful or even more with physical strength as Diane, oh my god, it's gonna get insane. But yeah, that's the story, people. Bankai Night 22, Gowther.